What do you get when you mix the 2D platforming of Mario and the action-adventure aspects of Zelda? You get Metroid. I don't know if that really was their mindset when making this game, but it's funny to think so, because it really lines up perfectly. So, this is pretty much Nintendo's holy trinity. The only thing that would disqualify Metroid from this position would be its popularity. In case you didn't know, Metroid doesn't sell very well, at least in comparison to other first-party Nintendo titles. Pretty sure it even sells better here in the US than in Japan, which is strange. But I can't think of another title that would fit the trinity. It ain't Pikmin, it ain't Kirby, it ain't Star Fox, it ain't F-Zero, and saying Smash is just cheating. It can't be Pokemon since they only publish the games, and as of late they aren't very good, but that would be a close second, I would say. So yeah, this is the Holy Trinity. It truly is the Holy Ghost since the series was dead for such a long time before Dread. But this video isn't about that. This video is about the first game. To say that Metroid is a Metroidvania would be kind of funny. The term originated as a way to mock Castlevania Symphony of the Night, since it played more like Super Metroid than any other Castlevania game at that point. The term eventually started to get used to describe the genre in a non-mocking way. I don't mind calling the game a Metroidvania despite the game being made before the term originated, but if I had to use a different term, I'd say side-scrolling action-adventure game would be fitting. It's a bit of a mouthful though, so let's just stick with Metroidvania. Also, search action sounds dumb. The story is pretty simple. Space pirates stole a Metroid from a research facility. They want to use Metroids as a weapon by forcing them to multiply. Samus Aran has been tasked by the Galactic Federation to stop all this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The manual goes into more detail about how galactic peace was achieved and then disrupted by the pirates, but none of that really matters here. The point is that Samus is alone on planet Zebes and needs to stop Mother Brain and the pirates. You arrive on the planet and, well, the rest is up to you really. Unsurprising that the game would be as open-ended as other games of this time. I'd say that Metroid is just as archaic as the original Zelda, yet I've seen a lot of people that defend Zelda's archaic nature also crap on Metroid for the same reasons. It honestly isn't that much worse than Zelda, and in fact, somebody could probably make the argument that it's better, since some of the secret locations that you need to bomb are few and far between in comparison to Zelda. Not only that, but you don't have to worry about having enough bombs to access the area. Now on the other hand, some of the secret locations just kind of come out of nowhere. At least in Zelda you can kind of figure out a pattern to the secret places. Here though, I would say no. Regardless though, I do still think that they're about on equal footing when it comes to that stuff. There isn't an in-game map though, not even a terrible one like from Zelda. There is this one in the manual, but, well yeah, you may just draw your own at that point. Or just look one up online like everybody else did. You're gonna need one mostly because everything looks the same. Okay, not true technically. The different areas are very easy to tell apart. I can tell this is Ridley's lair and I can tell this is where Kraid is. But telling you where I am exactly in the specific area is a lot more difficult. If I jump to a random point in the footage, I can't immediately tell what part of the video is playing. So use a map. After going to the left, we get our first upgrade, the Morph Ball. I remember hearing that they made Samus go into a ball because they couldn't get a crawling animation to look right. I have no idea if that's true though. Might as well bring up the rest of the upgrades now. We got the high jump boots, which allow you to jump higher. The Various suit, or Various suit if you're weird, which ups your defense. The Morph Ball bombs, which allow you to use bombs in Morph Ball mode. The long beam, which allows Samus's beam to not be a joke. And the screw attack, which makes your spinning jumps lethal. All are useful, but some are way more important than others. The Various suit, oh my god, I love you. You make it so I don't die in 2 seconds once I get stuck in this acid sand stuff. You're great. Screw attack is right because everybody is fucked when you get it. And the long beam really should have been just the default beam. You need some upgrades before you get others, like the high jump boots to get the Various suit. So keep that in mind when planning out your route. I'll get into this more later, but yes, you need to plan a route. Do not just wander around, please. We also have a few more things. Missiles, energy tanks, and 2 beam upgrades, the Ice Beam and the Wave Beam. Missiles pack a lot of a punch and are very useful on bosses. They're also needed to open these red doors. Energy tanks give you more health and will fully heal you once you get one of them. The Ice Beam freezes enemies, but also only does damage once you hit them a second time, which also unfreezes them. And the Wave Beam is completely skippable. I don't even think I have footage of me using it. The reason being is because Metroids aren't affected by it at all. You have to use the Ice Beam, so even though the Wave Beam is the strongest beam in the game, going out of your way for it really isn't worth it. The enemies are... well, they just kind of move around. There are these reoccurring archetypes, like these guys that rotate around the platforms, or these guys that shoot down from the ceiling, but all in all, they're pretty bland, and I don't know any of their names, and I'm not going to go out of my way to look up the names to say them for the review, because they just really don't matter. But oh man, do they pack a punch when you first start? Not only do they hurt, but also, you don't start with full health. 30 units of health. 30 units! That's it! Why? It's not like in Zelda where once you die you start off with 3 hearts no matter how many hearts you have in total. It'd be like starting off with 1 heart once you die. What the hell? And there is no quick way of regaining health in this game. There is no fairy fountain equivalent. You can't just do this. You have to do this. Yeah. So not only is the beginning of the game difficult, but dying kills all of your momentum and forces you to do this. Well, kind of. Like I mentioned, getting an E-Tank will fully heal you. The problem is, there are only so many of them available in-game and they obviously don't respawn. There are more than the max amount you can carry, so it's not like you have to purposefully play at low health because you don't want to get to full health until the end of the game, but damn is it still annoying. There are some E-Tanks that I would say you shouldn't even touch until endgame, just because it's a quick way of healing and getting a move on. Like this one. But how many players are going to think that much ahead? Unless they already know what to expect, they're going to end up grinding enemies for 20 minutes just to stand a chance. And the thing is, even if they do save the right E-Tanks, if they die, they're going to have to reset from the last password save. Because again, they don't respawn. Speaking of password saves, in the Japanese version, there actually was a save system. In our version, it's a password system. That might make you think that the Japanese version is superior, but no, because we kind of get a New Game Plus mode, but more on that later. This is why the Various suit is so important early on. It actually gives you a fighting chance. Because again, you do not want to die, it's just way too punishing. It's also just way too easy to die multiple times early on. Ugh, fucking knockback. I hate knockback. These assholes send me flying like 80 feet at times. I just want to get a move on. Oh look, I have to wait till I get the right drop since I can't open this door without 5 missiles. Better hope I don't get pot-shotted too many times. Oh look, an E-Tank! Yay! Early game is such a pain, but the worst part is, it doesn't let up. You're in constant danger the whole game. Sure, the upgrades help a lot, but you're still only a few bad decisions away from dying. Which again, you don't want to do. Exacerbating the issue further are the controls. You can't crouch to get a better shot at smaller enemies, and there's a lot of smaller enemies in this game. You can't aim directly downwards, you can't aim diagonally, so you're very limited in what you can do. Meanwhile, enemies are just flying all over the place around you. Don't you dare get stuck in this stuff, because you will die like that. Don't overshoot your jumps in these vertical shafts unless you like redoing the jump over and over and over again. Don't get juggled by enemies too much. This isn't fun. I'm not having a good time. This is just frustrating. Oh boy, I love Ridley's lair, yeah. I love that since I decided to get this one missile tank, I am stuck in this death loop now. Oh look, an E-tank! Jeez, I really love this dick move by the game. Yeah, thanks. I don't know why I used to like this game. This shit sucks. You mess up once and you are stuck in this pit of despair. And you have to try over and over and over again just to get a chance on moving forward. But it's not worth it, because again, you're one bad decision away from getting stuck again. This game is not worth playing. How did I enjoy myself so much the first time? Did I just get lucky and just never died? That's how I legitimately felt while playing this game, to the point where I almost actually canceled the Let's Play. But after going over in my head a while, I realized that I was just playing the game wrong. I was rushing into things. I wanted to get a move on for the sake of the recording timer, and since I already beat the game, I knew what I was doing, but I really just moved stupidly through the levels. I sadly accidentally deleted this footage, so what you're seeing is a recreation of the event, but the lower path in Ridley's lair is the one that I decided to take for some reason, and it's a path that's specifically designed just to kill you with all the enemies you encounter and the very tight space you have to maneuver through. Now luckily, since I was recording, I could just go back and look at the password from before that even happened. I decided to put on some Seinfeld clips from YouTube, get this E-tank, and then go back to the previous area. Got myself better equipped for the battle ahead. Also, not going the worst possible route to Ridley really helped a lot. But mostly it was me not rushing things that did the trick. Also Jerry. And maybe art had something to do with it too.
Let me be the architect, I can do it!
Ridley himself isn't too hard. You can freeze his attacks, which will leave him wide open until they unfreeze. Other than that, he just kinda jumps a lot. Kraid's lair is even easier since it takes even less time to get to him. And if you play smart, you can either death warp or use a second controller to get to the beginning of the zone, and then get this E-tank for a full restore before the final battle. Kraid might be a bit harder than Ridley, but honestly, not by much. There's an E-tank in his chamber, and your bombs do a lot of damage to him really quickly. I'm not even exactly sure how to beat him without this bomb trick, so maybe he actually isn't as easy as I'm letting on. Despite what it might seem like, guys, I legitimately enjoyed myself after I realized what I was doing, but I just don't think most people would find this fun. I got a lot of satisfaction after getting another E-tank, or beating a boss, or getting another missile upgrade. But the early game is most likely going to scare most players off. In case you haven't gotten the idea yet, use a map. The game is too punishing without one. In other games, I'd say it's not that big of a deal, but let's use Dread for example. I don't start that game with only 30 units of health after dying, and because of that, I can get back into the action pretty quick in that game. Here though, I just can't. Realistically, I was only able to because of Jerry Seinfeld.
It is! Poppy Peter, my sofa!
That and the fact that there was an E-tank right by the beginning of this area. If there wasn't, I think I would have quit. Pre-planning your route is actually half the fun, I'd say, which in this case is something that I didn't really do. I took a quick look at the map before starting playing for the Let's Play, and I didn't have a great plan like I did the first time I played this game. Pretty sure I went the long way in multiple parts and not just during the Ridley section, so that definitely contributed to my frustration. Speaking of frustration, the final section has the most annoying enemy in the entire game, the Rinka. These Cheerio looking motherfuckers don't have a lot of health, and I'm not exactly sure what they're even supposed to be, but they come at you from weird angles, and like I said before, you can't aim diagonally. We also have the namesake of the game, Metroids. They aren't too scary, you can freeze them pretty easily and then take them out with 5 missiles, but if 2 or more latch onto you, you're pretty much a goner. Now that being said, every single time you kill one of the Metroids, you get either 30 units of health or 30 missiles. So they are a high risk, high reward kind of enemy. This section is pretty lifeless in terms of the aesthetic, which I'm assuming is because of the Metroids themselves since they consume life energy. It's a nice contrast with the rest of the game. It just feels so cold and sterile compared to the overabundance of life in the rest of the game. The final boss is the worst part of the game. Okay, maybe it's not the worst part of the game, but it isn't very fun. You have to deal with turrets, Rinkas, slow down, and these fleshy barrier things that will regenerate if you don't kill them fast enough. And of course, Mother Brain. Even though she doesn't do anything herself, the things around her are more than enough. Love the slowdown, love the knockback from the Rinkas here. Love how this pit is too low for you just to jump out of it without needing the help of a frozen Rinka. Also, don't accidentally kill the frozen Rinka with your screw attack, hee 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 hee. Oh, you got hit by the turret? Oh, boo hoo hoo. Yeah, fuck this section. Bowser and Ganon have absolutely nothing on Mother Brain. Mother Brain can outbench them 1,000 to 1. Link, he would have quit. He would have let Zelda die if Mother Brain had her kidnapped. You know, Mario just took the L and just said, you know what, Toad, I can put a wig on you and I can just pretend you're Peach for the rest of my life. Without a doubt, hardest boss in these 3 games. Hands completely down. I've cut off my hands. That's how low they are. I've buried my hands 12 feet beneath the earth. Shout out to the motherfucker that can do this section without getting hit once. I should say the Mother Brain fucker, really. Anyways, a self-destruct sequence is activated and you have to jump up this shaft. Get to the end and it's over. Samus is a woman? What? Call me a fucking libtard or some shit, but I honestly just do not care. Do not care at all that Samus is a woman. To me, it's just like, okay, whatever. I get that for the time it was like, but for me, if I was to come at you and be like, this is insane, this is such a big deal, it would be disingenuous, because I just don't care. I'm not saying that to like diss Samus or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah. I grew up in a post Tomb Raider world where women being in video games, being the main character, isn't that like of a shocker. So it's just like a normal thing to me. Not necessarily throwing shade at anybody who's like, this is a big deal. I'm just like, okie dokie. What else is there to say about this game, you know? So yeah, Samus is a female. I don't remember when I first learned that she was a female. I honestly don't remember. It's just that much of a whatever to me that I don't recall at all. Even though I didn't have much fun this time around with this game, I did go out of my way to play it over again after beating it, with this Zero Suit Samus. Honestly, it's a pretty cool reward for dealing with the more annoying parts of this game. It really makes you feel powerful, which is a huge contrast with the normal game. Beat the game fast enough and you get Samus in a bikini. I miss the 80s. And by miss, I mean, well, you know. I almost forgot about the music, but luckily we have these live sections. I would say that perhaps out of all the games that I've reviewed so far, this game's music might be the most underwhelming. This is the biggest L I've ever taken on my YouTube channel. So after editing this video, I realized that I do not believe this at all. This is like one of the best soundtracks out of all the games that I've reviewed so far. I'm willing to go as far as to say that it's even better than Mario and Zelda soundtrack because it's just more complete. There's a lot more variety here, and the good tracks here, like the one from Craig's Lair, that's an amazing track. It's brilliant. So yeah, just ignore me saying that. You obviously could tell by listening to the music of this that I've used in this review. It slaps hard, guys. It slaps pretty hard. Especially the title screen tune. It really sets the mood for a dark ambience kind of vibe. Also, when you first start the game, when you come down, the little tune that plays is also really good. And then the following track after that really puts you in the mood for an adventure. And as you go further in the game, things do become more bleak, which makes sense because you're traveling down darker and more dangerous areas. I will say that the theme that plays when you're fighting Mother Brain, it's pretty underwhelming. It's probably the most underwhelming track in this entire game. It really just kind of like beeps and boops. So yeah, that could have done something better there. The game is okay. It's not fantastic and it's not terrible. You can have a good time with it, but that's mostly if you already know what you're doing. and if you know how to avoid the bullshit parts. I definitely can't recommend this game to the average gamer. Now that doesn't mean that the game failed necessarily, but this game just might not be for you. If you enjoyed Zelda, I'd say give it a try. If you didn't though, then don't even bother. I'm gonna try this game over again in a few years just to see if my opinion on it changes. I feel like not having to think about recording and all that will make my experience a lot better for me. Speaking of Zelda, I have a question to answer. We got the Holy Trinity here, but in which order am I ranking them? I'm going to do this every time I review corresponding games in these franchises, specifically in the Metroid reviews. It's gonna get kind of tricky once we get past Super Metroid, but I'll figure something out. So in last place, unsurprisingly, we have Metroid. Don't think anybody's surprised by that one, honestly. Metroid isn't too much more archaic of a game than Zelda, and I do think that a lot of people give that game a pass, while also not giving this game one for similar things. But there are things here that are just done worse. Again, the biggest thing is not starting off with hardly any health. It's insane. I think if you would have thrown a fairy fountain equivalent into this game and maybe a map, then maybe it would be a closer race between these two. But Zelda is definitely just a tighter game overall. You know, the wave beam being useless in the last section is insane. Kind of a design hiccup there. So now, the real question, Zelda or Mario? I think I'm gonna have to give the win to Zelda here. It feels very modern, which is surprising given how old it is. Though Mario might be easier to just pick up and play, Zelda is more developed. There's just a lot more to it. It's more replayable. I personally prefer the Mario franchise to Zelda, but I'd be being dishonest here if I put Mario over Zelda in this situation. I think it's just better. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm taking that back. I do think Zelda is probably easier to pick up and play than Mario, because I do think Mario is more difficult than Zelda. I think historically, platformers have been more accessible, but in this day and age, not so much. There's a lot of people that just don't jive with platformers. Just kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to play that. It's too gamey. It's too gamey for me. So, not to say that modern standards are the only thing I'm taking into account. I'm also taking into account like longevity and such. But I do think Zelda just by like a small margin, beats Mario out, really. Really, the only wrong answer here is not putting Metroid in last. If you would rather have Mario be first and Zelda be second, I think that's fine too. But if I were to do that, I would feel like I'm doing it for like my preference to Mario, so I'm putting Zelda on top here. So yeah, first ranking ever, Zelda, Mario, Metroid. We'll see how next go about turns out. That'll be interesting. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. You guys like Metroid? I'm guessing you will. I don't know. Metroid, it's kind of popular, but also at the same time not exactly. It's in this weird position. Metroid is. So yeah, thank you for watching though. Leave a comment. This is a premiere. Say hi in the premiere chat right now before the video ends, so it actually gets saved, because if you comment too late, it disappears into the ether, and that's scary. Being not existing anymore is a frightening thing, especially if you're a YouTube comment. Next time we're playing Metroid 2, and that game sucks even worse. I don't like that game. I don't hate it, but it is just kind of like. But then after that, things get really good. So yeah. That'll be fun. I think the next review is probably going to be either God of War or Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I think I might do Tenkaichi 3 before God of War though, just because of personal reasons. Do you guys like the wave beam? I don't know. Leave a comment. Do you guys like the video? Do you guys like Let's Plays? Do you guys like reviews? Let me know in the comments. I like when you guys leave comments. Alright, peace. Peace out. See you later. This isn't a State of the Union. I'm not going to do that.
He's an importer.
Just imports? No exports?
He's an importer-exporter, okay?